Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Love Money Venus. I'm Emily Litzel. I am your astrologer, and we're going to go through the astro of January 10th to January 16th, and we're going to be talking about the astro of the collective, also catching up on the astrology of AMC and where we can expect it to go in the next week, and Bitcoin in broader strokes. This is by necessity a week that really is kind of impossible to predict because there's a lot of Uranian energy, there's a lot of retrogrades and planetary stations and reversals. So those are literally like signals of uncertainty and expect the unexpected, but we're going to take a stab at it, and the messages for the people are much more clear as far as what's expected of us and what the pitfalls are going to be. Like, there's a lot of little minefields that we have to get through this week. There are some traps that are being laid that we have to like sidestep. And if you can do that, if you can maintain control of yourself, if you can carry yourself with some pause and preservation throughout this week, then there's going to be massive rewards for your character, for your self-esteem. But on the other side, if you do give in to emotional outbursts, or if you have like a lack of impulse control moment, there's equally long-lasting consequences that you're going to have to face and stand up to. So let's take a look through what we're facing down right now, okay? We're starting on Monday. We're opening our week with the moon in Taurus. The moon is exalted in Taurus. This is a very lush, domestic, like nourishing sort of energy. It's really, I think we're gonna have a hard time getting out of bed on Monday, if I'm totally honest with you. We have the moon sextiling Jupiter in Pisces, which is already like a stay in bed and treat yourself sort of vibe. We have the sun sextiling Neptune in Pisces, which is just even more kind of like vitality being not drowned out. It's a sextile, so technically it's helpful, but this is more about engaging in your spirituality, and things that this could totally also be like a tune out and tune into the universe sort of thing. But some of us have to work. The markets are going to be open. That's not really in the cards for a lot of people. But then adding on to that, we have Mars, the planet of assertion and confidence and forward motion, squaring Neptune, right? So like now that really is a drowning aspect. That is kind of, you're just not going to have the energy that you would hope to have available to you. And if you're a person who's naturally like very physically active, if that's like a big source of stress relief for you, these can be challenging squares, because this is not really favoring physical activity. When there's a square to Neptune, you could either just be too tired to get into it when you need to, when your stress levels really need that release, or you could injure yourself. Your body could kind of like almost like rebel against being pushed too hard. These are aspects that really do kind of ask you to get a little bit of extra rest. And honestly, if you can stay in, if you can, eat and take care of yourself and kind of just like be mellow for the day, there's really no reason not to, because the rest of the week is going to just be a massive ball of nervous energy and sudden shocks and little implosions. So if this is something that you can give to yourself as a moon day, a Taurus moon day, to just hang out in bed, by all means. Like, you have the planet's permission, not just my permission. The planets are telling you to go for it. Let's move into Tuesday, where most of this stuff kind of stays the same, but we are building into this Mercury Uranus square. So when I'm talking about, in the beginning, when I was kind of referencing being prudent with our words, being careful of not giving into emotional reactions, this is where this is coming from, because these, like Mercury in Aquarius in a fixed sign squaring Uranus in Taurus in another fixed sign, is a very combative but stubborn aspect. Mercury rules our communications, our thoughts, how we make our arguments to other people, also rules the markets and commerce and transactions and technology. So there's a lot that Mercury is like kind of holding in its rulership. and it's stationing to go retrograde. So already this is like a compromised placement of Mercury. We're already kind of dealing with some like funkiness happening around there. And then Uranus is the planet of innovation and sudden inspiration and electricity, explosions, like demolition type explosions, breakthroughs, accidents, revolutions, just anything. It's like, I really prefer to just call him Uranus the unexpected, Uranus the unpredictable, because that's what it is. It's so hard. It's like every time whatever you think he's going to do the opposite. And at the moment he's retrograde. So it's kind of a big question. It's like, there's a couple of ways that can manifest. Sometimes retrogrades just mean that you're experiencing all of this internally. It's less of an external, visible quake in reality as you know it, right? This is just something that's happening to you. It's not something that's happening to the world at large. And sometimes it just signals trend reversals. But Uranus stationing every time, like, this is something that will have an effect on the markets. It's just a very, very tough call as to what. But this is going to have you feeling like a sense of urgency that does not exist to say shit you should not say. We'll start there. To make trades you should not make. FOMO from Uranus hitting Mercury, the trader, right? This is the kind of theme of it. It's going to be building all week until Mercury goes retrograde on the 14th. It's going to be like this slingshot thing that just keeps getting tighter and tighter and tighter until it finally lets go. And this is really a lot of mental sort of neurotic activity. If you have if you suffer from anxiety, if you have like a anxious temperament, or that you are easily hyperactive and that kind of stuff, this is kind of like a cut down on caffeine week. There could be a lot of like super irritable people around you, and there could be a lot of people that are just over excited in what they're trying to convey, but it looks like the information, the message gets lost, right, in the delivery, or however that goes. It's just very important, especially all of the rules heading into this Mercury retrograde still apply, but now we have the square to Uranus in the same sign as the North Node. So this is having like almost a fever pitch thing. You need to watch what you say. You need to watch what you put in writing. You need to watch what you agree to. You need to watch what contracts you're signing. All of these things where like Mercury will already kind of delude you into thinking that you have to take very fast action in something that you would have been better off waiting for, right? And when Mercury is retrograde, it's very common for delays to be totally fortuitous. Like you get held back on something that irritates the hell out of you when it happens, but you find out when Mercury goes direct or a few weeks later that really was like the best case scenario. Like you get passed over for one job, but it's great because there's a higher position waiting when everything sort of shakes out. That is a very common theme of fortuitous delays, is what I like to say with this. And so even with that sense of false urgency happening from Mercury, right? That is everything that Uranus is about. Uranus is about trying to shock your ass and get you up, get you moving, like wake you up and startle you into some kind of forward motion. But in this case, he's retrograde. So that's also already kind of, it's a message that's scrambled. The signals are scrambled here. And I feel like that could just end up coming out in sort of unwinnable arguments that nobody can really take a clear side on. You might not even know what you're arguing about at some point in this week, but it is really important that you manage your anxiety or your anxious feelings kind of on your own, because there's not going to be a safe place to like latch those onto. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Like if it's not a good climate for like unloading like your inner fears and worries onto somebody else, no matter how trustworthy they seem. This is really about processing your own stuff and handling your reputation and your output in a way that you are going to be proud of 7 days from now, when everything starts to get really real in the real world. Okay, let's go forward. There we go. Okay, Tuesday, we still have our lovely little Taurus moon. We have the moon squaring Saturn, shooting a square back to Saturn. That's emotional stress, again, adding to the pressures of the week, like an imbalance between work and home life. Something grating on you, like you're trying to work, home is interrupting it, you're home, but work is calling. This kind of thing where you just feel like you can't be in the right place at the right time. Saturn moon contacts are not always awesome for the markets. They can be a loss of confidence in the assets that people are trading. You can see sell-offs at this time. It's easier for FUD to take hold just because it is kind of, Saturn has a negative aspect to it, right? It makes you question and doubt. Saturn rules fear. The moon rules our emotions. It stands for the public and the markets and how we react to things. So that could be a tricky moment to look out for, but it is a very quick moving aspect because it's with the moon. Oh yeah, we have Uranus conjunct moon. Okay, so this is where we start to really, we still have the square from Mercury and Uranus, and we have the moon now on top of it and about to make a conjunction to the North Node. This is when all of that gets lit up so bright and so hard, because now your emotions, first you were just worried about what people listening to what you have to say. Can I say this controversial thing that I've been thinking for the longest time? Like, how are people going to react to it? It's about a freedom of thought and speech in the beginning of the week when Uranus and Mercury are squaring. But once the moon hits that point, once the moon enters the picture, now it's personal. Now your emotions are involved. Like, you are really, like, this is a sensitive time, and the need for like emotional unburdening and like emotional freedom could really be impossible to not give into. But I would call your therapist, find a journal, like write it out somewhere, because even if there is somebody that you can trust with this sort of thing, they're probably going to be going through their own stuff. Like, I'm serious. Like, if it is not a paid professional, they probably aren't going to be able to hold it for you. This really is about finding ways to manage your own stressors without having to worry about adding to somebody else's load. Like, that's a big theme right now because we have so many freaking Saturn ruled planets. This is about carrying our own weight, and that puts some consequences on the people that are not able to do it moving on further into the week. But we're not going to be those people. We are going to make this happen. The Mars-Neptune square is still intact when we move into, so that is further taking, this can also be aggression or anger being in conflict with something making you delusionally angry, to be honest with you, or starting a fight for reasons that really turn out to not be sound, being deceived into aggressive action. That's more themes here, especially like I can see that with sort of communications going wrong with Mercury and Uranus where they are. And then it just gets more fun after that. There's also like the Mercury-Uranus square is still good for like quite a few things. Like if you are, especially, I have a pile of writing that I have to do. I have a bunch of notes that haven't like officially made it into their final form yet. This is a square that I know is going to help me make so much forward movement that might not be as easy to make at other times, right? Something that I can edit, something that I can work with, something that doesn't have to be released immediately, and not something that's going to be like held over your head forever, like a controversial like YouTube vid or going on tweet rant or something like that. There's just like, this would totally be like going viral for all the wrong reasons and never being able to live it down. You want to mind yourself unless you are made for that sort of life at this point. And then we're going to move into Wednesday. It's pretty much the same, except we have like a lovely little sun-moon trine. So that is the luminaries in the most harmonious contact to each other. That's just this wellness. Everything feels good. You feel like you're ready to go. Again, it's just a little bit too short. The moon is contacting the North Node at some point, so there's still a fated, destined quality to everything that happens today. And let's see. And this is Mercury stationing. Is this Mercury stationing? Yeah, so now Mercury is in exact square. It's going to be at 10 degrees. in a square to Uranus until it goes retrograde. So it's got about 2 more days for this. So this is where, I mean, I pretty much said the whole thing. This is still a build. Like, at least Mars is pulled off its square to Neptune, but that's pretty much the only thing you have going for you, because you have the Sun moving into a conjunction with Pluto. You have Mercury so close to Saturn while in a Saturn ruled sign. So this means immediately fixed Saturn next to fixed Mercury that's about to go retrograde. This means your words are going to have weight and they're going to come with consequences. They're going to follow you around for a really long time. It is very important to be conscientious and prudent with them. And even if you do, like, if you do make a mistake, if you do say something out of pocket, or you get pulled on previous statements or things that you might make or whatever, then this is it's how you respond to it this week, really. It's your reactions. It's how you deal with that. It's whether you take responsibility for yourself and you kind of like see it through and do like the damage control, you know, make whatever amends need to be made if you are like in the paint for something. Or if you get super combative, right, with the Mars-Neptune square, if you try to like fight it out, if you try to lie or misrepresent the facts, like, this is just going to be a week where you're like digging a deeper and deeper hole for yourself. But not everybody is even that controversial, so that's not going to apply to everyone here. But that's just like kind of the general theme. Like, don't send sassy emails about your boss. Like, this is just, don't gossip to one friend about another and expect that it's not going to get back to the original source. This is all about Mercury and the same what Mercury always brings to us, right? It's all communication based. So whatever that looks like for you, then you can know that that's where you are going to be exercising more caution, right? And also pay attention to the house this is happening in for you, because that gives you a lot of clues as well as to what areas you have to be minding your communication in. So like, that is kind of like the focal point that you need to be looking for. Okay, what are we doing now? Let's go to Thursday. Okay, so we started Gemini moon. So now we have Mercury. Now we have Mercury that can't be trusted in Saturn ruled Aquarius, where everything we say will be held against us forever and ever. Getting ready to move retrograde, guaranteeing that whatever weird things that we say or try to communicate or put out there into the world are going to be coming back to us like a boomerang, right? And then we still have that square to Uranus making us want to rebel and want to be the outcast and want to say revolutionary bad things. And then we have the moon, our inner selves and our emotions, and Mercury ruled Gemini, the sign that loves to gossip and talk shit. This is not good. Like, this is like a more fun energy, I feel like, coming into, there's more of a lightheartedness, obviously, with the Gemini moon. But that is where it almost gets a little bit harsher, because like this, like, first start of the week, like, that's kind of been like a pressurizing vice on you, right? You really do, by the time this moon hits around, you just want to like share. You just want to do like the knitting circles, right? And just gossip about all the things that are going on. But it's a really bad idea, and not just because somebody might betray you or share the secrets. There's a big theme here of either discovering things that you're not prepared to hear or handle, or things that you just shouldn't have known that trigger your own set of reactions, or accidentally revealing more than you meant to. It's just kind of it's not something that really has the cosmic green light this particular week. So do you guys have journaling practices? Talk to yourself in the mirror. That's cool too. Talk to your pets, talk to somebody else. Just do not involve other humans in the inner workings of your mind for the next few weeks. Find a robot. Okay, what else are we looking at here? Yes. Okay, so this is where the height of the bad trading comes in. And this is something that we're all going to have to be dealing with anyways, but the moon is going to be squaring Jupiter, which is like which is a signal to not overindulge in substances or foods or people, places, and things that are bad for you. and also to watch out for overconfidence. The reason that we have such a bad hand for trading decisions right now is we still have Venus retrograde, we have Uranus retrograde about to go direct, we have Mercury direct about to go retrograde. There is no earthly way that anybody could have all of the accurate information available to them right now. There is going to be so many like twists and turns and like little things being like this has a big like shock reveal, you know, quality to it, where like things actually, questions that you've had forever could get answered about whether it's misbehavior in the markets or government stuff. I don't know. There's an exposure quality to it, and I do think that you will see that in institutions and like politics at large and in the media. But this is also like an exposure type energy for us personally, and like the things that we do and the things that we've said, you know, and whether or not we're living up to our own standards for ourselves. I really feel like I'm always lecturing you guys, but this is just, I believe in you. I trust you for sure. I just want you to know like all the things that to be watching out for. Because it's not, I mean, if you are making weird trading decisions, it's not you. This is honestly, Mercury retrogrades are a time that I like very rarely trade successfully. And I am to the point after the last one, I'm really close to the point of saying like, I'm just not going to trade right now, period. Like I'll close positions if those prices come around, but I don't know if I want to open new ones. And I'm certainly not going to be trying to scalp or playing with leverage or doing anything else like that, because there's just, it's a kind of astrology that's made to confuse you. Like sometimes you're not supposed to see where you're going. You're supposed to see where instinct, right? Where instinct gets you to. Like how can you live by your wits? Like can you be quick on your feet? Do you have a good response time? That's what this is. This is like a testing of your like reflexes. But it's not necessarily like there's just too many curveballs through the entire week, and I don't think that you're going to like trading it. And that's just my honest opinion. We're going to go into Friday. Mercury turns retrograde. So I think before I was talking about the analogy of a slingshot being pulled apart for Mercury and Uranus, this would be the day that gets released, right? This is the day that if something has been nagging at you and you've been holding it in, or you've been stewing over something that you shouldn't have been, this is the day that it comes tumbling out. Or you might hear a shocking revelation, right? Somebody might spill something to you that you didn't see coming. This is definitely like market shock and awe. This is, I'm trying to think of how to say this. Like, there really isn't, well, one, let's talk about what Mercury retrograde can and can't do for the markets. For specific assets that you've been tracking for a while, there's quite a few of them that respond really strongly to a Mercury retrograde, and they respond with a distinct change in trend from up to down, right? It gets a little bit harder if something has been trading sideways to know which way it's going to go. But Bitcoin is one that absolutely will turn around on a dime from wherever it's been going. And AMC is another one. So whatever's been happening up until this point with the week, with the unexpected price action, right? Uranus the unexpected squaring Mercury of the markets, we can expect to see some surprises and all of that. Whatever those surprises have been holding, there's a very good chance that we see it all come undone, or just going absolutely in a totally new direction that we had not anticipated. You're going to anticipate it because you know what Mercury retrogrades do by now, but the markets might not see it coming, and this could be one of those big like breakout stories for all of that. The next thing that we have to start talking about, especially moving into the weekend, because over the weekend the entire theme kind of changes to the focus moves to this Sun-Pluto conjunction, right? And this is for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is, it's not that it's inherently bad, but it's inherently intense, okay? Pluto is the destroyer, the transformer, like destroying, like bulldozing something to the ground so it can be built up better. This is the planet of the Phoenix, right? Rebirth. where you can be born stronger, better, faster than you were before you were broken down, but you have to be broken down first. That breaking down process is not pleasant. It's really not cute. And when you're dealing with the sun, that's usually representing the self, like the vitality. This could also be authority figures. This could be people in prominent positions of government. The sun rules visibility and authority as well. So between the two of them, what we're looking at is either there's two choices. There's like the good and the evil. The good way to handle this, or the best and most productive way, in my opinion, is to keep it internal, keep it focused on yourself, because this is really, again, room and an invitation for a lot of transformative magic. And there's very few people I know that aren't carrying something that needs to be alchemized, right? Like needs to be transmuted into something better and like more fulfilling, more nurturing. This is like take the dark stuff within you, integrate your shadow into the light, deep clean your ego, like that sort of a thing. Like you can take charge of your own investigation, like into yourself and your motivations and why you do things, and try and build a bigger, better you. Okay. The evil manifestation of this is if you are in some kind of a power struggle with someone else and you are tempted or goaded. I mean, like this is kind of an obsessive compulsive energy, right? This could really have you focus on a single person, a sun, a focal point where you are trying to do something underhanded, manipulate them, manipulate a reaction out of them, try to dominate them. This is like power struggle kind of energy. And all I have to say about that is just, it's such a bad idea. Like this is really such a bad idea because there is still, with Mercury going retrograde, you know that you're going to come back. Everything that you do under this is going to be revisited in like 2 quick weeks, conjunct Uranus and in fixed signs. So this is going to bounce back at you, and it's going to bounce back with something that you cannot shake for a very long time because you're working with the fixed energy. So not only that, we have to talk about if you're on the receiving end, if somebody is trying to power trip you, you know, if somebody is trying to, yeah, it's not even power trip. Like this could be so many things. This could be just underhanded behavior. If somebody's threatening you, if somebody's trying to force you into doing things that are like untoward or threatening to harm you. This is just kind of like, I mean, everybody knows when they're around somebody Plutonian. This is also the planet of death. Like this can be a fairly dangerous situation. But if somebody is putting you in that position and you've got this fight that's coming to your doorstep, you got to fight it out. Like this is one time where sometimes you can avoid the conflict. Sometimes you can like sidestep it. This is stand your ground astrology. And that is because we have the North Node in Taurus. And that is because Uranus is in Taurus. And that is because this Pluto-Sun conjunction is in a close trine to the North Node, meaning if you let somebody push you around at this point, whether you win this fight or not is not the point. If you let somebody like just push you around or roll you over unchecked, you're going to be dealing with it again for a very long time. For a very, very long time because of the fixed sign energy. So it goes both ways. But if you are going to be the aggressor in anything, if this is a showdown with somebody at work, you know, if it is like your ex's new girlfriend that you're trying to take on, I can think of all kinds of situations where we can get ourselves kind of near them, you know, like no judgment. I've been there many, many times, but it really is toxic. It really does. It's not good for you. It's, everybody knows that. It isn't good for you, and it robs you of the life that you could have had in the time that you were obsessing about that, right? We become what we think about the most. We become what we focus on. So if you are getting caught up in these very circular grudges with those sort of intrusive thoughts, you know, when you're thinking about somebody or something, even after you promised yourself you don't want to, and you know that it makes you feel like super bad, that's kind of like a Plutonian thought process being gotten in here. And I don't know if I have anything more to say about that than just be very careful acting out on it, because Saturn ruled Mercury is a very self-righteous sort of deal, okay? And then we have Jupiter, the lawful good, in home in Pisces. So Jupiter is like the planet of largesse and abundance, but it's also the planet of law and order. There's a lot of ingredients here to kind of like delude you into thinking that you're like fighting this noble cause when you're not, when it's self-serving or something like that, walking yourself off a plank that you can't come back from. That is what so much of this looks like, you know, and just kind of being stuck with your bad choices and nobody being able to get you out of it. On the other hand, if you are going to use all of this, this is like the diamonds are made under pressure astrology, right? Like I'm not trying to be like alarmist about it. It's just a tricky week. And especially because we do have some big moments in at least our favorite assets among my audience here coming up while there is all this bad trading astrology. It's just trying to get you to have an idea of like what you're up against, not to scare you. But again, this is the kind of stuff that when you make it through bad astrology weeks like this, or big price action weeks and that kind of stuff as a trader, when you make it through stuff like this as a human and you're able to contain your reactions and you're able to behave and respond to things in a way that you are fully proud of, that's a really huge, like, I mean, growth isn't something that's promised, you know, when it happens, especially if it's something you've been struggling with for a really long time, it's enormously freeing. You know that that's one less character flaw that's going to be dogging you, having to deal with it. That's what the opportunities of this week are. It's sitting on our bad impulses so we can act in the best interest of the people that we're going to be when Mercury goes direct again. That's what it is. That's the way we're going to wrap it up. Make decisions that the you that is going to be surviving this Mercury retrograde would be happy with. That's what we're trying to do. And then let's go into our assets. Okay. We can start with AMC. What happened with AMC? So like 2 weeks ago, I was pretty sure that we were never going to see downside with AMC again, which sounded very reasonable at the time. I thought we were going to be on a straight moonshot, to be completely honest with you, and maybe not seeing a ton of upside in the waning move phase, but I didn't think that we were going to be seeing as much downside as we did. So it looks like we took a nuclear path in the wrong direction. Let's switch these babies. Here we go. And we can talk about why and why that gets a little complicated this week. Okay, so we have this wonderful aspect with Jupiter and Neptune, the conjunction that I've been like raving about because so many times it comes with all-time highs. And that is still true. And we've seen that play out with AMC before. But we also have an equally awful Neptunian aspect that is Neptune square. Oh, it doesn't want to light up. Okay, AMC's natal Mercury is being squared by Neptune, and it has been squared by Neptune since forever and a day. When the markets open on Monday, it is going to be, Neptune is pulling past that square, separating from it to the second. And I don't know if that's going to be enough to save us on Monday because Mars is going to be conjunct Mercury. So Mars is adding into the square here. And then there is the Sun sextiling Neptune on the same day. Even though that's only a semi-sextile to Mercury, that's all of these different activations to the square that has just been drowning out our price action and kept us super depressed for a long time. There is it looks like downside. I'm really sorry, guys. Like, it does kind of look like a bloody Monday, but like I said, there's absolutely no way to tell with Uranus and Mercury in the condition they're in right now, which is about to change directions, both of them. That is such a large gravitational field over the markets and everything that leaves like, it really is kind of like an anything could happen sort of vibe. It's not, I don't know. I kind of dig it. So that is happening, but whatever happens, if it is blood or if it is, I'm kind of thinking that this is going to be a week of more downside, to be honest with you. And then when we get towards Friday and we get closer, Friday we close on a big green. Like I said, this is not a market to be predicting, but I feel like that's going to be the direction of the reversal. If not, if the beginning of the week is green and then it goes into red, that could be tricky for reversing even when we come to this full moon. that we're going to be having next week on Monday, which is actually, it's a chaotic full moon in Cancer. Like, it's going to, again, a lot of the stuff that's happened over this week with like antagonizing people in our inner circles or having these interpersonal battles, the Cancer full moon is going to just absolutely explode those into the cosmos, into a million little pieces, because it's got so many aspects coming to it, and it really just, it's just a very special sort of moon. Why did I start talking about that? Oh yeah, so that would normally be a local top for AMC, and we may still be able to see that. But if we have a trend reversal going from up to down after Mercury goes retrograde, I don't know if that's going to be happening. We can pretty much sum up the rest of the financial astrology for this whole video into like, I don't know what's going to be happening, because like I said, this is a fairly unpredictable energy. Bitcoin, I think, is a little bit more of a solid bet. Going into Friday, it looks like downside into a pretty clean reversal with a couple of caveats, okay? I really have my doubts about whether or not when this price action starts to reverse, it's going to be something that anybody's excited about. By the time we get to our full moon, which would start off, usually for Bitcoin, that is the low of the cycle, and then we start moving into a new high cycle, right? So opposite of AMC. Neptune, our price murderer, right, is moving into opposition, just starts in opposition to their Saturn. So just like the square that AMC's been under that keeps it super depressed, this is a very depressing, this is almost worse. Like, this is, Neptune pissing on Saturn, who is already like a depressive and doesn't need to be irritated anymore to shut down. That was a weird analogy. This is a standoff. This is a bummer aspect. Saturn rules fear and hesitation and limitation, minimalizing, and Neptune is kind of this like deceptive, delusional, retreating, kind of not wanting to face reality. It's just between the two of them, it looks like a very like sad and nebulous addition to the price action. And I don't really know how much growth it can see underneath that, but there's a lot more aspects at play here. It's just that it doesn't, even with Mercury changing direction, January just doesn't look like the strongest month. It doesn't look like the strongest month for Bitcoin altogether, but this is where you should be seeing some move to the upside. And like I said, I really don't know. This is not like astrology that's good for financial astrologers. So I'm just giving you my best guesses here, and anything could happen. And I actually think that has us through everything. I feel like I've just like sped through it all. That's our forecast for this week. I will see you back here next week. I love you guys so much. You totally have got this. Take very good care of yourself. Good care of your nervous systems. If you have anxiety, protect yourself extra hard. This could be a very triggering week for you, but you're going to learn new ways to calm yourself and new ways to thrive among the chaos. And we are all going to come out of this richer and happier. Maybe. We'll see if these retrogrades let it be true. Okay, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.